In the heart of the mist, where the trees whisper and the moon never fades, they say, a lantern burns without fire. Those who find it must face a choice: forget or remember forever. Tonight, we follow the stories of three souls, each carrying a memory they can't escape. If you enjoy haunting tales of love, loss, and mystery, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell, so you never miss a story whispered in the dark. Now, step into the fog with us and discover what the lantern will reveal. On the edge of a fog-drenched village, there is a tale passed down in whispers, a story about an ancient forest that heals broken hearts, but only on the longest night of the year. It's said that deep within its mystical embrace, there is a clearing where a lantern eternally burns without fire. And every 213 years, the forest chooses three souls who are led by the light to confront what they've buried deep within themselves. Our tale begins with Kael, a young man haunted by a past he desperately tries to escape. Years ago, his father disappeared under mysterious circumstances, leaving his mother burdened with grief and his little brother, Rynn, filled with questions. One night, as a storm raged outside, someone broke into their home, stealing their only heirloom, a silver locket. In a moment of panic, young Rynn confronted the intruder and was accidentally stabbed, succumbing to his wounds shortly after. Consumed by guilt and despair, Kael fled his village, determined to find a way to bring his brother back. Across the land, there lived a woman named Mira, known for her healing touch and her kind heart. However, a dark secret lingered in her past. Years ago, she had been engaged to a man named Alaric, who was renowned for his bravery as a knight. However, on the eve of their wedding, he vanished without a trace, leaving Mira shattered and alone. People whispered that he had abandoned her, but Mira refused to believe it, clinging to the hope that he was still out there. In a distant realm lived the oldest of the three, Rynn, a scholar who had dedicated his life to uncovering ancient secrets. But as he delved deeper into the mysteries of the past, he unearthed a truth so painful it tore his world apart. His beloved daughter, Alara, had died from a rare illness. Overwhelmed with grief, he poured all his energy into researching a way to bring her back, sacrificing everything else in his life. Each year, on the longest night, these three strangers are drawn to the same forest clearing, each carrying a silent wound from their past. They don't know each other, but the lantern does. And this year, it's calling them all home. As night fell, casting long shadows across the land, Kael found himself drawn to the edge of a dense forest. The air grew heavy with anticipation, and before him, an ethereal glow emerged, revealing a weathered lantern emitting a warm, inviting light. Hesitantly, he reached out and touched it. The moment his fingers made contact, the lantern seemed to hum with power, and he felt an overwhelming sense of connection, as if it were reaching out to understand the depths of his sorrow. With newfound determination, Kael stepped into the forest, the mist parting for him like breath. The trees swayed gently, forming a path illuminated by the lantern's glow. As he ventured deeper, the forest grew silent, amplifying the sound of his own footsteps. Suddenly, through the trees, he saw him, his little brother, Rynn, standing barefoot in the dew, smiling, alive. For a moment, Kael couldn't breathe. It felt like years had been erased, leaving him back in the innocence of his childhood. But the smile on Rynn's face soon faded, replaced by confusion and fear as he noticed the stab wound on his own chest. With a gasp, he looked up at Kael, his eyes wide with realization. Before Kael could respond, a gentle yet firm voice echoed through the clearing. "Do you want to remember him, or live without the pain?" Startled, Kael turned to find the lantern floating above him, its light flickering softly. He fell to his knees, his mind reeling from the impossible sight before him. He whispered, his voice thick with emotion, "How can I forget him? If I forget, who will carry his name?" As Mira walked, the lantern glowed softly, casting dancing shadows around her. Reaching a small stream, she stopped, kneeling beside it, the water's gentle flow mirroring the rhythm of her beating heart. Gazing at the ripples, she whispered, "Alaric, where are you?" Suddenly, the lantern in her hands pulsed warmly, guiding her to a nearby rise. And there he stood, a lone figure silhouetted against the moonlit sky. Relief and disbelief washed over her as she recognized his familiar features. But as he turned, she saw the sadness in his eyes, the burden he carried. Mira hurried forward, her steps lighter than the falling mist. When he saw her, a flicker of surprise crossed his face, quickly replaced by a pained smile. "Mira," he said, his voice a mixture of joy and sorrow, "I thought you would be angry that I didn't deserve this. Why did you come back?" she asked, her voice catching. "Why now?" Alaric hesitated, then took a deep breath. "You have every right to hate me," he began, his voice soft. "But I couldn't bear the thought of you believing the rumors, thinking I abandoned you." Mira stared at him, her heart torn between the love she still held and the hurt he had caused. She wanted to scream, to demand answers, to unleash the anger that had simmered within her for so long. But as she looked into his eyes, all she felt was pity and sadness. "Instead," she cried, tears of sorrow for the lost years, for the dreams that had been shattered. The lantern pulsed once, sending a gentle breeze through the clearing. "Forget him," it whispered, its voice echoing with wisdom, "or forgive him." Mira looked at his eyes, filled with pain and longing, and chose. When Rynn arrived at the clearing, he was met with an ethereal sight. Before him stood a majestic oak, its branches reaching towards the sky like gnarled fingers. Beneath its protective canopy, a single lantern hung suspended, its light casting dancing shadows on the forest floor. Drawn to its warmth, Rynn approached slowly, each step echoing the heavy toll time had taken on his weary soul. As he neared the lantern, its light seemed to intensify, bathing his aged face in an otherworldly glow. An inexplicable sense of peace settled over him. As he walked, the forest grew eerily silent, the chirping of crickets replaced by an unsettling stillness. The path led him to a moss-covered stone, and as he rested his hand on it, the world shifted around him. Suddenly, the forest came alive with the joyous laughter of children, bird song, and the murmur of a nearby stream, the air filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers. Rushing towards the sound, Rynn found himself in a sun-dappled clearing where a little girl in a yellow dress skipped merrily. Her laughter tinkled like wind chimes, bringing a long-forgotten smile to his lips. "Papa!" she exclaimed, seeing him, and ran into his arms. The moment their embrace, memories flooded back. The fever, the frantic search for a doctor, the agonizing wait, and finally, the heartbreaking burial under a blanket of winter snow. Tears welled up in Rynn's eyes as he held his daughter close. The lantern hovered nearby, its light soft and understanding. Then it spoke in a voice as old as the forest itself. "Do you want her back, or let her rest?" Rynn held Alara tighter, his heart breaking at the thought of losing her, even momentarily. "Just for a moment," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "One more moment to feel her warmth, to hear her laughter." The lantern seemed to understand his sorrow, and with a gentle pulse of light, it granted his wish. For a few precious moments, Rynn played with Alara, watching as she chased butterflies and twirled in circles. The joy in her eyes mirrored the happiness he had once felt. But as the minutes passed, a deep sadness settled over him, knowing he couldn't keep her any longer. With trembling hands, he gently wiped away her tears. "I'm sorry, my love," he murmured, his voice heavy with regret. "I'm sorry I couldn't protect you then, and I'm sorry to say goodbye now." As Alara drifted away, she looked back at him with love and understanding in her eyes. When dawn broke beyond the mist, the three returned, forever changed by their experiences. Kael, carrying the weight of his brother's memory. Mira, her heart healed by forgiveness, and Rynn, holding the echo of his daughter's laughter. And the lantern, having heard their hearts, vanished into the morning fog, waiting patiently for the next soul who might call out to it, wondering what they would choose to forget or never let go. And as the mist slowly returns, the lantern dims, but its light lingers in the hearts of those who dared to remember. Some memories are burdens, others are all we have left. Thank you for walking with us through this story. If it touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another whisper from the shadows. Until next time, what would you choose to forget or never let go?